15 June 1962 was a historic day for Cambodia and her people to always remember when the International Court of Justice issued its judgment stating that the Temple of Preah Vihear and its vicinity are situated in the territory under the sovereignty of Cambodia. On 7 July 2008, under the proposal of Cambodia, the Temple of Preah Vihear was inscribed by the World Heritage Committee as the World Heritage Site in Quebec, Canada. Immediately after the inscription of the Temple of Preah Vihear on the World Heritage List, Thailand used all means to undermine the sovereignty of Cambodia over the temple and its vicinity, including dispatching 3 of its citizens to conduct meditation at the temple as a pretext to send its flag-clad troops to occupy the area within the vicinity of the temple and to launch offensive military aggression against Cambodia on various occasions between 2008 and 2011. Thai military actions had caused a complete destruction of a market located at the foothill of the Temple of Preah Vihear, damaged the structures of the temple, caused countless injuries as well as the loss of human lives, and displaced hundreds of Cambodian villagers. Such acts of aggression by Thailand are considered a threat to peace and international security. In response, the royal government of Cambodia, in her capacity as a member state, filed a complaint with the ICJ in The Hague, requesting the court to interpret the 1962 court's judgment pursuant to Chapter 6 of the United Nations Charter.
This is what had happened in the previous Thai government led by opposite of the Democratic Party. Had the opposite government not launched heavy attacks on Cambodia, Cambodia would not have brought the case to the Hague-based International Court of Justice for interpretation of the court's judgment. Therefore, I am asking our people to be patient with the current legal battles at the International Court of Justice, in which we already won the case in 1962, under the leadership of the King Father Norodom Sihanouk. But due to the Thai violation of the court's judgment and the unilateral determination of the area, so-called 4.6 square kilometer, it is necessary for us to request the court for the interpretation. It is not a new lawsuit, but only how the court interprets the judgment.
Samdech Dacho Hun Sen, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Cambodia, had reiterated Cambodia's reason for its decision to submit the case to the ICJ at the inaugural ceremony of a Buddhist pagoda in Kampong Popel, Piriang District, Preah Vihear Province, just 4 days before His Excellency Hau Nam Hong, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, made an oral statement on 15 April 2013 before the ICJ in The Hague, the Netherlands. His Excellency Hau Nam Hong emphasized that Thailand seems to ignore its acts of aggression on Cambodia and wanted the court to reject the interpretation of the 1962 judgment at the request by Cambodia, as proven by Thailand's written observation dated 21 June 2012. In this regard, Cambodia had no option but to ask the court to clarify the meaning and the scope of the 1962 judgment. 214 days later, on 11 November 2013, the ICJ in The Hague announced the judgment of its interpretation of the 1962 decision with a 37 pages document written in English and French.
Although the court's judgment today did not satisfy 100% of our aspiration, we are pleased with this judgment as it provided what we want the most.
The judgment of 15 June 1962 decided that Cambodia had sovereignty over the whole territory of the promontory of Preah Vihear, as defined in paragraph 98 of the present judgment, and that, in consequence, Thailand was under an obligation to withdraw from that territory the Thai military or police forces or other guards or keepers that were stationed.
1. The court unanimously finds that it has jurisdiction under Article 60 of the statute to make a decision on the request for interpretation of the 1962 judgment presented by Cambodia, and that the request is admissible. 2. The court unanimously declares, by way of interpretation, that the judgment of 15 June 1962 decided that Cambodia has sovereignty over the whole territory of promontory of the Temple of Preah Vihear, as defined in paragraph 98 of the present judgment, and that, in consequence, Thailand was under an obligation to withdraw from the territory the Thai military or police forces or other guards or keepers that were stationed there.
ក្នុងអរិញកថាខណ្ឌ98គេកំណត់ទីតាំងនៃប៉ោយភ្នំព្រះវិហារ
Paragraph 98 of the judgment identifies the limits of the promontory of the Preah Vihear mountain. In the north, which is a life and death issue, the limit of the promontory is the Annex 1 map line that is based on the Dong Rate map. So, the limit to the north is easy to see because the Annex 1 map line is used to identify the promontory of the Preah Vihear mountain. This implies that it is the boundary line. However, this cannot be stated directly as it would violate the principle of non ultra petita. Thus, the court only states that to the north, the Annex 1 map line is used to set the limit of the promontory. Beyond that line is Thai territory. The court emphasized that the limit only comes to that line and not crossing it. To the east, the court recognized that the limit is where the Annex 1 map line intersects with the escarpment. We can see the plain and the mountain here. This part is 200 meters high. This one is 400 meters high, and this one is 500 meters high, and this one is 630 meters high. Therefore, the intersection between the Annex 1 map line and the escarpment is the limit to the east. So, the question is, which escarpment is the exact one? It can only be identified by the topographers. Soon, our topographers will begin their work. They will have to identify the exact points. For the limit in the east, it should not be a difficult issue, as the areas belong to Cambodia. It is not complicated since the promontory of the mountain extended until the end of the escarpment, and beyond that it would be no longer called promontory. In the south, the issue is the same as in the east. It comes down to the escarpment that defines the limit of the promontory of Preah Vihear mountain. When it comes to the west and northwest, the issues become complicated. They said that the limit is where the land drops in slope. They said that the limit is where the land drops in a slope into a field next to where Ville and Tree is located. Why do we remember it is Ville and Tree? Because this is where we had clashes with Thai troops in 2011. And this is what Kau Sikha Giriswara, and the road, which links to the slopes of the mountain, runs in front of this pagoda and goes to the field that links all the way to Cambodian side. So, the limits to the west and the northwest are where the land drops in a slope less steep than the escarpment into a valley until the foothill of Phnom Trop mountain. Here is Phnom Trop, its highest point, and so on. Let's have a look. This is the foothill of Phnom Trop mountain, where the promontory of Preah Vihear mountain is located.
ជើងភ្នំនោះមកគឺជាទីតាំងរបស់អរិញប៉ោយភ្នំព្រះវិហារ
His Excellency Dr. Sokan, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister in charge of the Office of the Council of Ministers, had explained the meaning and the scope of the judgment to approximately 1,000 civil servants from line ministries on 15 November 2013 and the Friendship Building. But it is regretful that some Thai public opinion have misinterpreted the ICJ judgment rendered on 11 November 2013 and further contradicted the truth and the genuine meaning of the judgment. To avoid misunderstanding amongst the national and international public opinions, experts, academics, and Cambodian lawyers recalled and explained the misguided Thai public opinion as follows. First, they claim that the ICJ in The Hague has no jurisdiction to interpret the 1962 judgment. Where is the evidence?
According to Article 60 of the Court's statute, the Court does have the jurisdiction and the obligation. Why? According to Article 60, it is clearly stated if either side or both parties did not agree with the judgment or there were different interpretations. If both parties or each of them had different interpretations of any of which files the complaint with the court then has the jurisdiction to interpret. The court recognized that the case had not yet been interpreted and it is not a new case brought by Cambodia. The court considered that Cambodia's request is admissible and therefore the court has the jurisdiction to interpret the judgment. Thus, the first question is whether we win or lose the case. This is up to the public opinion to judge whether we win or lose. When we first filed the complaint with the court, the Thai side immediately said that the court has no jurisdiction, but the court now declared that it has the jurisdiction. This is the first step. Going straight to the point, it meant they failed. I did not even mention win or lose, but I only said the term failure because the Thai delegation had earlier claimed that the court has no jurisdiction. But in fact, the court said that it has the jurisdiction. Second step. The question is, if the court was asked to interpret the judgment, how will the court do that? In the second step, the Thai stated that if the court was to interpret the judgment, the court will rule that the vicinity around the temple belongs to Thailand. They made such proclamation in both oral and written observations. Here are those documents sitting on my desk.
Second, the Hague-based court did not use the Annex 1 map.
Taking this opportunity, I would like to make it clear to our compatriots that the statements made by Thailand on the interpretation of the court's judgment in The Hague on 11th November 2013 was completely wrong. Why do I say that such statements are totally wrong? It is because their statements are in complete contrast to what the court clearly stated in its judgment both in 1962 and on 11th November 2013. In this respect, I would like to reiterate that the court, both the 1962 and the 2013 judgments, referred to Annex 1 map on which it was solely based. In 1962, the Annex 1 map was enlarged and used by the court. Based on the Annex 1 map line, the temple of Preah Vihear and its vicinity are situated to the south of the line. Here, I would like to emphasize that the Annex 1 map line had been used by the International Court of Justice for its reasoning to reaffirm the judgment on 11th November 2013, which is very important. Why do I say it is very important? Because the court's judgment on 11th November 2013 reaffirms its 1962 judgment. How does it reaffirm? It reaffirms on the legal basis. The watershed line raised by Thailand since 1962 was rejected by the court. The court made its judgment in respect to the non ultra petita principle. It means that the court's judgment on 11 November 2013